Robyn? Lovely.
Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We're going to get started now. I think, yeah, it's 2 o'clock. My name's Dave, and I'm part of the team, the inquiries team at the Oxford College of Marketing. You may have been in touch if you've been interested in any of the sort of CIM courses or other short courses we offer. I just want to note beforehand that this webinar is being recorded. So, yeah, it will be sent out afterwards or uploaded to YouTube, I believe. Today, we've got a really interesting webinar on 5 AI tools you may not have heard of, which, yeah, I think I'm going to find personally very interesting as well. Yeah, it's going to be led by Robyn, who's a trainer at the college with us and also helps organizations and individuals understand their marketing data and demystify MarTech as well. So in the first instance, I'll hand over to Robyn, but there'll be time for questions at the end and also, yeah, throughout. So yeah, I'll pass across to Robyn now. If she is here, I think she's having a couple of. Robyn, are you still there?
Yes, just got back. Yep,
Perfect.
I'm here. Kicked me out
Lovely.
again,
Right.
but hopefully we'll be fine.
Perfect. I'll pass across to you now. Thanks so much, Robyn.
Perfect. So I will just share my screen, and I think we now need to just take a second and wish for the Zoom gods to allow me to stay in during this session. As always, if you have any questions or you have anything that you want to kind of discuss or kind of understand what is going on at the moment during this session, you are more than welcome to, of course, let me know. We have 1 hour together, and today we're going to go through, actually, I've put 6 tools in here, not just 5, and we're going to go through these tools together. But of course, if at any time you have a question or a kind of thing you want to add, I also love to be challenged. So please do that as well. Okay, so we're going to start with 5 underused AI tools that we should be using now. Now, as you know, I am a huge nerd when it comes to AI and marketing technology and basically using technology to support our processes, to allow our work to be easier, to allow us access to things, to be able to utilize this technology that we now have access to in the way that we do. But most of the conversations around AI at the moment are these large platforms. They are things like ChatGPT, they are things like Claude, they are these large platforms that we are starting to kind of have these conversations about. But this session isn't about that. It's about AI tools that are doing real, specific, useful work that most people kind of haven't discovered yet. And by the end of it, you'll have 5 tools that you can go away and utilize straight away that are different from kind of what we've been using or talking about in a lot of our sessions as well, because we do tend to stick to the larger kind of tools and things like that, realistically, right? And what I also want to empower you to think about is that in reality, ChatGPT, Claude, all of these tools, they are kind of a jack of all trades, a master of none. Now, when we generally choose technology to support our business, our marketing, our professional development, all those kind of things, we tend to look for the best tool that does the best thing, right? But what's starting to happen with AI is we tend to just go for the most well-known and we get stuck there. A lot of us have got stuck in ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, purely because of access. Like they were some of the biggest names to come out initially. But now we actually have some amazing tools that do things much better. And we are holding ourselves back by not actually utilizing these tools that are built specifically to solve a problem. Because in reality, you wouldn't normally choose one big platform to solve all your marketing problems, but we're trying to trying to get ChatGPT to do that, and we're trying to get it to fix all of our professional problems too. But actually, there's so many more platforms out there that have power. Yeah. So why does this matter? And this matters because the AI conversation has got very narrow very fast. If you spend any time on LinkedIn, kind of reading any kind of news article out of Medium or kind of our general kind of Google News feeds, you will have started to notice that the same names come up over and over again. ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini. And after a while, we just start to assume that they are the best tools for the job. Whereas actually, there's some that can do things a lot better. And we start to just assume that that's the best, that's the standard, that's what we should be looking at, or that's what's out there, that's what there is to know. Whereas actually that assumption is costing us. It's costing us in a personal level, in a professional level, and if we are in that kind of decision making kind of space, it's also costing us as our business. Because beneath those household names, yeah, there's a whole layer of tools that most professionals have never come across. Not because they're complicated, not because they're particularly niche, just because they're not in the mainstream conversation at the moment. Maybe no one has written a viral LinkedIn post about them, yeah? They haven't got the same kind of press coverage. So in reality, a lot of people just don't know that they exist. But the people who are using the right AI tool for the right goal, the right task, they're getting things done faster with less effort because they took the time to go that one layer deeper rather than staying with these kind of jack of all trade kind of platforms. And I've seen it. This gap is a large one, and it's been growing over the past year or so. So I wanted to build this session within OxPE Exchange because we want to close that gap. Yeah, we want to have access to the tools that do the things we need to do in the best way, right? And I want to kind of allow you to see how you could have multiple AI powered tools within your marketing tech stack to get a better outcome. Yeah. And I want you to also be able to go away and use these tools straight away. So straight after this session, this evening, when of course what I've spoken about keeps you up at night. Yeah. And you can actually kind of apply it to something real, something right now. And that's the bar that I want to measure this session against, that we get to talk about these different platforms, what the AI is doing in these platforms, and how you can utilize it to get a better outcome for your work, your professional kind of development, and also from a business point of view. So that is the reason I built out this session today. So we're going to cover 5 tools today and kind of a bonus 6 in there. And there's a reason for that. And for each one, I'm going to go through the same kind of 4 things. So I'm going to go through what it actually does, where it can sit in your normal week. We're going to look at a live demo so you can see it in action rather than just hear me describe it or see a flat kind of presentation. And also how you would go and get started with it today if you wanted to. And that's what matters to me the most, because I don't want to give you a huge list of things to go and research. And by the end of this session, you should be able to open up any of these and actually do something useful with them. If the tool is relevant to actually what you want to do, right? Now, a quick note. I know I've said 5, it says 5 in all the marketing, but I wanted to add in this bonus tool, and it's something called Originality AI. And I've put it at the end deliberately because it's different from the others. Yeah, it's not using AI to do things better for you or to generate better. It's not a creation tool. It's your AI quality control tool. And the reason that I have included it in this is that the more you use AI in your work, the more important it becomes to have a way of checking what we're actually putting out there. It's the tool that becomes more valuable the deeper we go with every other AI aspect, or when you're adding more and more AI tools into the world. So I think it's earned its place. Yeah, I do. I think that it's got a purposeful kind of reason for being my 6th in the list today. So everything here within the session, within the tools that we're going to go through, has either a free tier that you can access, or it has a trial that you can go away and see if you want to utilize this platform before you have to purchase. Yeah. And I also want you to leave knowing that these types of tools exist, understanding why they're useful, and then feeling confident enough to go away and try them. Yeah, because what you'll start to recognize is it's all well and good having a jack of all trades kind of platform like ChatGPT or Claude. But actually, when we start to recognize that there are AI tools that do one or a small group of things incredibly well, that output is going to be much better for the reason that we have implemented AI in the first place, right? We'll get a better ROI. We will get more out of that platform. So it's also about recognizing where things like ChatGPT are good, and Claude and Gemini and things like that. But actually, what about putting a specific tool in a specific place to get a specific outcome? That's what we're going to kind of walk through together today. So I want to start with Napkin AI. Has anyone used Napkin AI? You can just kind of give me a thumbs up in the chat, or you can kind of let me know if you have. And this is a wonderful platform that solves a problem almost all of us will have had in this room. And it's, I don't know how or why they name kind of technology the way that they do. Whenever I have a session like this and I say the different names that I'm going to go through today, people are like, are you sure that's a real platform? Yes, napkin.ai is a real platform. So what does it do? It takes text, so a paragraph, a document, or a concept, and it converts it into a professional visual diagram automatically. So we can create things like flowcharts, timelines, comparisons, process maps incredibly quickly. And it reads our content and decides the right structure. So sometimes if we don't know what we actually need to be adding in, we can utilize platforms like Napkin AI to create us that visual aspect without going to a designer, without having to have that extra time back and forth within a team to create something to support our written content. Now, as always, I like you to understand the AI that happens within these platforms. So Napkin uses a combination of NLP, which is natural language processing, to parse the semantic structure of our text. And a layout engine trained to match content type to the appropriate visual format. It's not just a template filler. Yeah, it interprets meaning. So what is it good for? It's good for client-facing strategy documents where a diagram would help, but you don't have a designer. It's good for things like proposals and reports, turning a text paragraph into a visual in under a minute. So it's pretty quick. It's great for training materials, process documentation, or onboarding documents. So the free tier is genuinely useful, but you can also upgrade to get Pro from $8 a month. So that is where you have to start thinking if you would use it to produce more than a handful of documents per month. Yeah, so let's have a look now at Napkin. Has anyone ever used this before? It's quite a intuitive platform, actually. So let's just make sure that Zoom is behaving and is now sharing the right screen for me. So how would we like to add text? Now, a great thing about Napkin as well is it can also generate the long form content if you needed it to. It's not the best at that. That's not what the kind of AI system is good at, but you can also get your blog created in here. So we're going to start there together. So I'm going to describe my idea. So let's have a think. So if we were doing something for business development, we could look at AI implementation within a team. Yeah, very, very basic prompt there. As always, please improve your prompts to get better out. But for the kind of sake of time, I will just do a very quick prompt here. And then we click next. So what this is doing is it's going to write it for me first. Yeah, so it's going to be very bad writing. Realistically, it's going to be, as we know, generative AI creates the most probable version of things based on the prompt that we give it. So because I gave it a bad prompt, let's not expect the best out of it. Now, if I want to create a visual for any aspect of this, all I need to do is to highlight and press generate visuals. So what it's now going to do is it's taking that content that I have kind of created, and it's going to give me different versions of a visual that I can use to add to my document. I don't really like the multiple hat thing. I can go for a pie chart. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. What it will then do is it will give me options of the style that I want to kind of create with this. Let's go. Yeah, let's go for that one. Now, what you can also then do is you can change the fonts on here, the colors on here. You can swap the layout, you can add your own branding, and you can also sync it again with text. So bearing in mind, if you go back and you edit anything in the document, so you add information, you're going to want that to reflect in the visual, right? We're going to have to just make sure that it works. So then you can just double check. You can also export the visual if you would like to. So I can do this for any aspect of this document. Yeah. So now if I wanted to create a visual for the planning and strategy, it is now going to do that for me. Maybe I want something slightly different than a kind of pie chart here, quite like the cogs. So let's have a look and choose the cogs maybe. And all of a sudden I have a document that gives me the kind of visual for that aspect of my blog or my content. So what the AI is doing is it is taking the kind of content that I am selecting, and it is then comparing it against what visual would make the most sense for that process. What it then does is it gives us the opportunity to create and edit. And I think it is one of the most useful kind of AI tools out there, especially if you create proposals, if you create kind of various things that clients need access to, because you can use Brand Studio and kind of add in your kind of brands. You can create your own visual that it would follow every single time. So if you have certain fonts, certain colors, certain sizes, certain words, you can add that all in to the brand. So that's my first AI tool that I think is pretty useful, realistically, for any of us needing to create proposals, visuals, and all of everything that you saw me do was on the free tier. The only difference within the free tier and the not free tiers is the amount that you will want to create within that. So that's our first kind of useful tool. What do you think of it? Is anyone going to try that? I think it's really useful. So the next one is something called Synthesia. And this is a totally different type of platform. It is a platform that is designed to create AI avatars and voiceovers. So let's have a look at the kind of system here. So Synthesia, this generates professional video from a text script. We choose an avatar from a library of over 150. We type in our script, and the platform itself renders a talking head video with natural movement and a realistic voiceover. No camera, no studio, no editing software. So the AI inside this is more complicated than Napkin, for example. So this platform uses a combination of generative video synthesis. That is what is used to animate the avatar in sync with the speech that we create. It uses a neural TTS, text to speech engine, for the voiceover. And it also has internally proprietary lip sync models. So that's what basically pulls the video to the sound and gives us the output. Yeah. So the result is convincingly lifelike, and I will show it to you in a second, but it's not indistinguishable from real footage, which is actually a feature. It's not a bug. It's supposed to look like an AI avatar. So it's good for things like onboarding, HR communications, because we can update the script without re-recording, e-learning models and modules, and product training, again, because we can update the content without having to re-record. It's great for explainer videos for clients, sales sequences, product walkthroughs, for example, but also it has the option for multi-language content. So we can create one script, for example, in English, and it can do up to 130 plus language outputs. So we have a starter plan, which is £22 per month, but there is a trial that you can go ahead and have a go at. Additional videos are charged separately. So let's have a look at what this looks like compared to kind of Napkin that we've just had a look at. So this has a great kind of AI embedded in its AI kind of process. So we can actually do prompt to video instead here, which I'm going to showcase to you. So this is where you kind of want to be guided through the whole process with support from their internal AI as well. So let's try it. So we're going to kind of, we're going to agree that we're going to try their assistant here. Oh, I don't want to pay for that, so we'll do it this way. So we're going to choose a template in the assistant room here. So if we have, for example, a talking aspect and a product video, this template would be great. If we want to do something like a quiz for engagement, we can start with something like this, or you need to do something like training modules or anything like that. If we want to build an interactive process where they have to select buttons and move forward, we can choose something like that here. And as you can see, we can also import from PowerPoint. So if you have a template that you utilize a lot within your organization, your proposal process, for example, maybe, you can choose that and upload it in here. So let's have a look. What do we want to kind of, let's use this one here. So I would always suggest starting with a template initially to take away the overwhelm of starting a process like this. It's a very easy process. It's basically drag and drop, for example. And we can also turn it now into interactive experience with clickable buttons. So if we have different outcomes that we want to offer, for example, do you like gold, silver, or rose gold, for example? If they have a certain budget, we can then branch off the different aspects of that process. So let's have a look what we can quickly change. On the left-hand side, you can see that our AI avatar, she is present throughout the whole process. And what we do is we give the script here. Yeah. So then if we wanted to kind of play it.
Welcome to our interactive quiz template.
The avatar
Start the video with a clear title and a verbal explanation
so
of what the viewer will learn. Use the Start button to move to the first interaction.
And what it allows us to do is it allows us to check each kind of file here and play it, change the kind of wording and what we want it to look like. We've got different tools which give us different shapes, different motions, different media, but it is incredibly intuitive. So we would literally select the avatar. We would then choose who we want. It's a very guided process. You don't need to have video training. You don't need to have that to be able to export an AI avatar video. But as we kind of discussed earlier, if we just kind of replace, let's just pick somebody else who we kind of want to put in, we can also add a kind of outfit that we would prefer them to kind of wear, and we just give the kind of description of what we want them to kind of look like there. So once you have then selected all of your aspects, what your avatar looks like, what language you want them to speak, what kind of text you want them to have, kind of added in your logos and things like that, you purely have to press export, and that is the video created. It's like a pick and mix. You choose the aspects that you want, and then it builds that AI model to bring your speech to life against the avatar that you have chosen. So I think it's a really cost-effective kind of way to access quick video production. The fact that we can update videos, training, all of these wonderful things purely by changing the words in the video and then re-exporting them and updating wherever that video kind of sits or lives in your ecosystem means that we have a much quicker turnaround to keep things like courses, training, and kind of client experiences up to date. So that's my second kind of platform I wanted to highlight to you. It gives you more kind of functionality than when you ask things like ChatGPT and Sora to create you a video, because we can have direct influence on that. Sora is great, but it loses a lot of its information over time, whereas that we can just deal with frame by frame to ensure that our avatar looks how we need our avatar to look, it is synced how we want it to sync, it sounds how we want it to sound, and it's also in the languages that we need it to be in. So it's great. It's great for offering kind of different courses to people, allowing them to interactively choose what suits for them. It's just a nice experience compared to, I mean, a lot of businesses know that video is great, but the fact that we have to record it, edit it, make sure that we have the technology that we need for it, that gives us an opportunity to purely create this kind of quick turnaround for that type of content. And the reason that it is purposely designed to look slightly AI is that we don't want to be fooling anybody realistically. Yeah, but you can upload your own person and things like that as well. So go and have a play with that. The free trial period is really good on that kind of platform. So that is my second platform. I think so. Yes, we're now onto Google Labs, and I'm going to pull up Pameli as a first one. So I don't know if any of you know, but Google has this wonderful space called Google Labs, which is where they try out and test a lot of experimental kind of AI tools and quietly release them. Yeah, before deciding whether to bring them into their main products. And one that I'm going to highlight kind of today is Pomeli. But let me just talk through kind of what Google Labs is first. So this is what is called as a sandbox. It's an experimental place. It's a public-facing sandbox. So normally we don't get access to these trial things, right? They're normally not as pretty as what Google makes them, right? So it's like a preview channel, but the tools are real. They're functional and genuinely really useful because they are all designed to solve a problem that either Google have experienced internally within their team or has been suggested to them to solve a problem that their general kind of communities, the people that use their products, all that kind of thing are experiencing within AI or work in general. And the only thing you need to know here is these tools are not necessarily permanent, or the way that you have access to them may not be permanent. Yeah, so it is a trial area. Some become true Google products and become part of the Google ecosystem. Some get retired, but you do get warning of that, and they all are free. So it's worth bookmarking and kind of checking periodically, and the range shifts as experiments come and go. So depending on what is kind of going on in the world, kind of the AI world, depends on what you can test, what they bring out new. Yeah. And one of the kind of ones that I use a lot actually is Pomeli, and it's a standout example. Basically, we give it a URL. It visits our website, reads the design, the system, the colors, fonts, layout logic, tone of voice, and then it generates on-brand content visuals for you. And the output kind of, because it takes all of that information in, looks like it comes from our team rather than a generic AI kind of template. So if we think about what is the AI inside of this system, Pomeli combines web scraping with a multimodal model that can interpret visual design, so layout, color, typography, as well as contextual tone. And it uses this to generate content that conforms to an inferred brand identity. Note that word though, inferred. It infers it from the website link that we give it. Yeah, so we just need to make sure that the URLs that we are providing it are actually useful. Yeah. We cannot give it a formal brand brief. Yeah. So what's it good for? What's Pomeli good for? Founders or small teams producing branded content without a designer on hand. Social content, email headers, web graphics that need to match an existing site, for example. It's a quick content turnaround when the brand is already established on the website. Already established. You have a rubbish website, you will have rubbish content, because as we all know, with any AI system, the stuff we put in dictates what we get out. Yeah, rubbish in, rubbish out. So if we're providing URLs that are not branded correctly, we're not going to get very good content out the other end. Yeah. So let's have a look. Let's have a look now at Google Labs, just as a kind of a place itself. So this is Google Labs. It's totally free. So what you can have a look at is, this is the different tools that we can kind of have a look at. So there's a literature insights tool, hypothesis generation, computational discovery, Stitch. That's quite an interesting one. That's an AI design canvas that transforms natural language into high fidelity UI that we can collaborate on. Pomeli, which we're going to look at today, Google Flow Music. So it actually helps you to create music. Project Genie. This is an experimental research prototype that allows us to create and explore infinitely diverse worlds. So that's quite fun. There's ones that you can try in places like Gmail, so we can kind of look at kind of how that works. Disco, a place to test AI features for the web. So this is quite interesting there. Mixboard is quite a good one too. It's an AI-powered concepting board designed to help you explore, expand, and refine our ideas. All of these are free. The only thing that you need to recognize is they may not be permanent. Yeah. They are a testing ground for Google to see what works, what doesn't work, which one of these are we playing with the most, which one are we getting the most use out of. So you can kind of literally Google Labs, Google Labs, and then have a look at their latest experiments and help to kind of work with what is kind of going on. So that is Google Labs itself. So if I show you Pomeli, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put, let's just put my website in it. Why not? Just getting the website link now. So you basically agree to kind of sign up to the various kind of things. But as you've noticed, it's also pulled in a Google kind of business profile for me. So I'm now going to press continue. So what it is doing now is analyzing my website to bring out what it classes as the brand identity. So bearing in mind, it is inferring the brand identity without any information from me. Yeah. So it's taking my website and inferring that. So at the moment, it's pulling the images, it's kind of dealing with all of that to then create me content. So we'll just wait while it does that. It's also great for small agencies, consultants who need to pull things like fonts, colors really quickly. This kind of gives you a informal brand book to kind of work from. I'm going to have a sip of my water while we wait for it to finish. But the great thing about kind of Google Labs is it allows you to try out different tools that are specific for different outputs. Yeah. So the fact that you can choose tools that are built to solve a specific problem helps you to start building out your AI tech tools rather than relying on a jack of all trades, for example, like ChatGPT or Claude, which does everything okay, but not everything well. Yeah. And a lot of the times the scale of well of that is kind of dependent on realistically if we have the opportunity to prompt it correctly and attach it to the right amount of information. Yeah. So this is going to take a few minutes, as it says there. So I'm going to move on to the next kind of platform, but we're going to come back. Don't worry. I won't not explain and show you the outcome of that. But we're just going to go on to the next one while it finishes. So the next one I want to talk about is something called Chatfuel. And chatbots are becoming more and more important when it comes to kind of utilizing the way that we interact with our consumers when we can't be there. So chatbots are becoming more and more kind of a powerful tool due to the influx of generative AI. Because instead of having those really awkward decision trees where, I'm going to sneeze, where we have very boring exchanges with people on our kind of chatbots, the generative kind of side of it means that we can actually now have true engagement with somebody who's on our website, in our social media DMs, actually having that kind of connection. And I've pulled up Chatfuel because it's actually much bigger than just a chatbot now due to AI. So actually, Chatfuel is a no-code platform for building and deploying AI-powered chatbots. Yeah, the bots run on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, and website chat widgets, and we configure the bot's behavior using drag and drop, no code required, And the conversation engine itself is powered by GPT-4. So we get this back and forth with our clients. Yeah, we get a back and forth with our potential customers in the way that we're used to talking to ChatGPT, that gorgeous back and forth of the way that we can communicate with generative AI platforms now. So the AI inside of this platform. So Chatfuel connects to OpenAI's GPT-4 API for the conversational intelligence. So we know straight from the off, they're going to have a good experience when they kind of have this connection with us through our chatbot. The platform itself handles the deployment infrastructure, so the channel integrations with Meta, WhatsApp Business, and the web, for example, and the conversation flow logic. But we can configure the intent and the guardrails. GPT handles the language. So what is it good for? It's good for things like lead qualification on a website, asking qualifying questions, passing data to a CRM, Instagram DM automation, responding to common queries, sending links, capturing emails, FAQ handling for things like e-commerce, for example, service businesses or events. It's also great as well for out of hours coverage for businesses without a full support team. So we have a free plan available here. We also have paid plans from $19 a month. Just a note that OpenAI API usage may incur a separate charge depending on your volume. So you just need to make sure you understand the use case for the amount of tokenization here. That's the only one of these platforms that is important for. So we basically open up Chatfuel, and the first thing it'll do is it will be like, does your business have an Instagram account? So I say, yes, let's go. And then I say, build my demo. So what it's going to do first is it's going to look at my Instagram. I've really put myself on blast today, haven't I? And kind of checks what's going on. And on my recent posts, it starts to look at patterns and where I am missing connection, where I am not responding. So it sees a few patterns. So am I losing people in the comments? Am I missing the DMs after hours? Am I paying for ads and not closing leads? So my biggest thing is I stop work at like 6. So I'm missing DMs. Yeah. So what it's showing me is that actually this is starting to happen. I've missed this. Yeah. So this is a kind of example of what has happened, and I didn't reply for X amount of hours. But what it is going to give me is an option that something different could happen instead. So it's giving me the option, actually, the kind of chatbot can do this and then follow up in a DM. I can at this point say, actually, I'd like to tweak something. This isn't what I want this to do. It's not quite right. Or it could be perfect and kind of move forward. So this is where I would then activate, and then it would tell me every morning when I'd kind of clocked off, how many replies it had done, how many kind of DMs, and how many things it had actually booked. Do I want to connect it to WhatsApp? So instead of sitting in the DMs, do I want to bring my leads to WhatsApp? No, I'll keep it in Instagram, and then activate my team. And then you would start your free trial there if you wanted to. So what you would basically do is allow this system to talk to your current systems and see what your patterns of communication are. It will then suggest what you need to do to improve that. You work with it. You know how we said that we could tweak and change and develop? We would then do that there. And then we would allow it to go and fulfill that communication gap that I am missing, fueled by conversational generative AI. So it's something that I definitely think that brands and businesses should go and have a look at, so that they're not missing things when it comes to kind of how to communicate, how to stay on top, and all of those kind of things, because we are living in a world where if we are not seen as being available, seen as being kind of there for our clients, we are starting to kind of lose interest. There's many other people that offer what we do. So making sure that we have communication systems in place is incredibly powerful. And it is not a massive outgoing, right? It's like £22 a month to have a system that consistently is there for people when we can't be. So that's also something that you can kind of try, right? So let's have a look at the next one. What I did there was I sneakily saw if Pompelli had finished, but it hasn't quite finished yet. So we're going to have to give that slightly more time. So what we're going to now look at is number 5, and that is Gamma AI. So has anyone used Gamma AI? Gamma AI kind of came out at the time of ChatGPT. Has anyone actually kind of used this yet? Because actually it's a pretty useful system. So I'm just logging in so you don't have to watch me do that while I kind of talk for a second. So I'm going to first talk you through the different system. So this is a AI native tool that creates full presentations, documents, and web pages. We give it a topic, an outline, or a body of text, and it generates a fully designed structured output in under 2 minutes. Yeah. Themes are professional out of the box. Everything is then editable. What it is also great at is that outputs are shareable as a live link, not just a file. So people don't need to have PowerPoint on the receiving end. People click it, you can follow that data to see if somebody has done that. So Gamma uses a combination of a large language model to generate and structure content and an AI layout engine to choose and apply visual design. The two work in parallel. The content and the design are generated together, not separately. And this is why the output feels cohesive rather than just like text dropped into a template. So it's good for pitch decks, investor presentations, built from a brief or outline, client proposals that need to look polished quickly, internal reports, and the free plan has enough for a number of full kind of presentation decks. But then the pro plan is starting at only $10 a month. So it's good for the good value for the most kind of the frequency that most professionals need. So let's have a look at what it does instead. So how do we want to use it? We want to use it for work. I want to use it for marketing. It's just me. How did we hear about us? Oh, it needs a... And I don't really kind of want. So let's start with the generate. So what would we like to make? I would like to make a proposal document that has full kind of details of what to expect and outcome and costing. Yeah, so we can generate the outline there. What it's going to do is it's now going to generate the kind of information. Executive summary, current landscape, proposed solution. Yeah. If I'm happy with that, I can add it. I can also add in extras kind of sections here. I can kind of, do I want the text to be minimal or detailed? Do I want it, what kind of theme do I want to go for? What kind of images do I want to kind of pull in? What kind of style? I like this kind, so we'll kind of save. You can also change the model here if you wanted to. So I would have a look at what different kind of models you could utilize to create different types of content. And then I click generate. So what it does then is it starts to generate that for me so I can edit it and bring it together. As you can see, it's building that out for me as we kind of talk together. Now, of course, the more I should have given it much more than I did. It was a very basic prompt again. So if in the, like when you go through, if you have examples, you have your colors, you have your fonts, you can add that all in so that you're not editing much as it kind of creates. But as you can see, it's starting to generate and create that for me, allowing me to kind of go through and edit. So I can kind of drag it around. I can edit with an agent. I can change the card styling, all directly in Gamma. So it gives us a kind of way to create gorgeous kind of information. But the fact you can share it on a direct live link, so it retains its kind of design and the way that it works, is also incredibly powerful. Now, as you can see, it's generating each section based on the card that it kind of expected. Yeah. And what it does is it gives us a place to start from. So then we would add in our own information, our kind of the different levels of proposal. But it means that I don't have to kind of create this template. I've got somewhere to begin. Yeah. So I'm going to so then it'll walk you through how you can edit those. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to talk about my 6th special kind of platform. So this is a bonus tool. Yeah, it's one that sits upstream. So it's after you've actually created all of your AI content. So, and because as you use AI more and more in your kind of outputs, I want you to have a tool that helps you to stay honest about what you're publishing and you can explain what you're publishing. Yeah. So Originality AI detects AI generated content. It checks for things like plagiarism. So we can submit a piece of text and it tells us what percentage it is likely written by AI, what people will react to. It also checks for factual accuracy flags and also produces a readability score. So the AI inside, Originality AI is trained specifically on outputs from the major language models. And the train and focus on recent models is what gives it higher detection accuracy rather than general kind of purpose tools. So as AI becomes standard in our kind of production, the question isn't of quality control. It's more of kind of understanding the output. And clients, editors, individuals, communities are starting to recognize and ask about AI generated content. Google has also made clear that content quality is what matters, not the method of production. So this is the tool that helps you verify that our output meets our own standards before it goes out. Yeah. So if I quickly show you what this system looks like, because it's going to tell you it's made by AI. That's not what this is kind of important. What is important is things like checking for plagiarism, your grammar, if it's readable and at what level your AI content is readable at, and checking the facts. Yeah. We know that if AI cannot create or does not have the information, it will generate a hallucination because its main goal is to answer you. Its main goal is not to be factually correct, which surprises a lot of people when I say that. So having something like Originality AI in your back pocket, in your toolkit, allows you to have the opportunity to double check for plagiarism, grammar, readability, and fact checking. Also check it and see if you can humanize the text. Does it sound like it has been straight off the ChatGPT press? We probably need to go back and have a little look at that content then, realistically. right? So sadly, Pomeli is still kind of generating. We are almost there. So potentially before the end of this session, we'll be able to have a look at that. But if not, I highly recommend you go away and try that one. So before we finish, I want to spend just a minute on this slide because this is the one that actually matters. So I've shown you 5 tools, an abundance of more if you go through Google Labs, 6 if you count the bonus one. And you may be thinking, okay, I want to try a couple of these, and that's great. That's normal. But what I want you to kind of take away from today is actually the gap between what looks useful and actually that's something that you're going to use regularly is almost always just the first real application. So I just want you to go away and actually use these things on something that actually matters to you. That's your real brief. That's your real document. Yeah, it's a real piece of work you are going to do anyway. So don't try all 5 of them in 1 week. Pick one, find a problem, find the right AI tool that solves that specific problem, and then try it. Apply it to something real. See what happens, and then come back for something else once you start to build that confidence and start to see the return on investment of that platform. Yeah. And I think this is worth saying out loud as well to you. A few of the slides today touched on things like energy use, training data, potential bias, things like that. They're not just interesting facts that I've left on there. They're professional kind of questions. And if you're going to rely on any of these tools at scale for your business, for your work, for your team, for your clients, you should be entitled to ask your providers how the tool was built, what it was trained on, and what it costs environmentally. They are fair questions that you can be asking. Good providers will answer them. And knowing a tool deeply means knowing its limitations as well, not just its features and what it can do. And as always, there is an open invitation for you to join our kind of AI exchange, our kind of place to talk peer-to-peer and to receive extra information between these sessions. So has anyone got any questions for me or something you're going to try kind of after looking at all these glorious AI platforms that you may not have known actually existed? Oh, no, there's just 5 that you're all going to go and try. That's wonderful. That's mega.
Thank you so much, Robyn, for that. That was really, really interesting. I just wanted to add, if you do have any interest in, I know a lot of you are studying with us already, but if you do have the interest in undertaking any AI courses like the CI Chartered Institute Marketing courses or some of our short courses or masterclasses, or 1-day boot camps that Robyn runs a lot of as well, please do just book a one-to-one and we'll be happy to help with any questions you might have as well. But thank you so much for that, Robyn. That was really, really interesting. And
honestly,
lots of tools
Napkin
again.
AI is phenomenal. Like the fact if you just want a visual representation of something that you've created, the fact you just press it and it builds it for you, that's honestly one of my favorite tools that I've ever discovered. So yeah, I highly recommend that one.
Yeah, I'm going to take that away to the office, I think, and let some
yeah.
of the team know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just means that you get suddenly a visual thing of the thing that you're talking about, right? So yeah, and you're not having to try and build it in Canva or any of that. Like it just makes it with your data. So that makes it much easier, I think. Oh yeah. Yeah, Napkin AI was a hit. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad about that one. Yeah, I think everyone's had all their questions answered.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Robyn.
That's not a
See you
problem.
next time as well.
See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.